there are senators, I won't mention names, that kind of have contempt for President Trump. They want to be opposition voices, and they don't really understand how profound and deep this moment is. Anyway, we'll see over time what happens with some of these other senators. So the road ahead is not going to be easy, but so far, Senate leadership, they have done an amazing job. They have stuck together. They have navigated challenge after challenge. They got the president's cabinet through. Here with more, we'll start tonight with Senate Majority Leader John Thune. Senator, good to see you.
Good to see you, Sean. Welcome to the Capitol.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
As you call it, the swamp, right?
I call it the swamp, but you know, things are working a little bit differently right now. You were able to get everyone united, to get the president's cabinet through. Not a small task. You didn't shut the Senate down. You kept it open for hour after hour after hour. Senator Kennedy wanted to go home and have a beer.
Or two.
What's that?
Or two.
Or two, or three. So kudos to you for that. Senator Lindsey Graham was on my show the other night, said something that's really profound in my view. In the last 100 years, there's only been 4 times that Republicans have had control of the White House, the House, and the Senate. This is such a historic opportunity, and maybe it only lasts 2 years.
Right.
Tell us what the next steps are.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks, Sean, and thanks to this team and our fellow Senate Republicans. We did get the president's cabinet in place the fastest rate in 20 years. We were in session for 10 consecutive weeks for the first time in 15 years. And today we have cast more votes than any Senate going back to the Reagan administration. So people are showing up, they're doing the work, and we got a lot more work ahead of us. But if you look at what's at stake, the stakes are high, as you pointed out. We don't get this opportunity very often, and when it comes along, sometimes it doesn't last very long. So we've got to make the most of these 2 years where we got President Trump's leadership in the White House. And boy, isn't that a welcome relief from the past 4 years, working with Republican Senate and Republican House to do the things the president campaigned on. And that's to secure the border, make a generational investment in doing that, make sure that we're investing in our national security so we're prepared for whatever threats exist around the world, avoiding a $4 trillion tax increase at the end of this year, preventing that from happening, and then restoring American energy dominance. Those are all priorities the president campaigned on, and I would add deficit reduction. We have got to cut spending, and that's a priority for this Senate.
I'd add, too, the next generation of weaponry. We live in a dangerous world.
We do indeed.
All right, so Senator Graham is the head of the Budget Committee, and Senator Graham also said on that show that he was on that as the head of the Budget Committee, he can bypass the Senate parliamentarian. Look, to explain reconciliation to hardworking Americans that get up every day, work hard, play by the rules, gets a little bit complicated. But the reality is, in your body, in the Senate, where you're the majority leader, it gets complicated. And it's not as complicated in the House. It's a procedure by which you have very strict rules and regulations. Then you've got to come together with the House. You guys got to strike a deal. Explain it in maybe layman's terms so people that, you know, are busy providing for their families every day can really understand why this is important.
Well, and you're right. It is the quintessential, if you will, Washington inside baseball game. And even the language around it is complicated. But the short of it is, we believe, and in the Senate at least, when you have unified control of the government, House, Senate, and White House, which as you pointed out, we've had a half a dozen, less than that, times in the last century, you can do things at 51 votes in the Senate that would otherwise require 60. But you got to have maximum cooperation. You got to have 51 Senate Republicans to hang together. You got to have 218 members of the House. And you got to have a president who's willing to sign a bill into law. We have all those things in place. And Lindsey has done a great job as the chairman of the Budget Committee. And we believe the law is very clear, that he has the authority to set what that baseline is. And there is a lot of conversation around which baseline you use. But the simple fact of the matter is, we believe that extending the tax relief that was passed in 2017 under President Trump ought to be able to be continued. And that isn't something we ought to have to offset or pay for. These are policies that are in place. Tax rates should stay the same on January 1st of next year as they are on December 31st. And as you pointed out in your lead off to this, some of the other things that the president's trying to achieve to provide the American people with tax relief so they can keep more of their hard-earned dollars and spend them the way they want to spend them instead of sending them to Washington, D.C.
So if you're not able, and you have a 3-vote majority in the Senate, and I think we're up to 7 now in the House, and so you have this arcane maneuver which, for example, was used to pass Obamacare. I believe it was used to pass the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Okay, so it's been used in the past, and the Budget Committee chair pulls that off. But you have a very small majority. So you got to work within the rules, you got to get it passed in the Senate, and you got to get the House to go along with it. They've got a small majority. I know everybody has whatever their priorities are. Is everybody fully on board? Do you have a good feeling that you're going to get the 50 votes, hopefully 51 or 2 or all 53? Do you believe that the House, having had the conversations with Speaker Johnson, you'll get it done there too?
Yeah, well, shame on us if we don't. This is historic in terms of the opportunity. And I think what's going to motivate all those people, both in the House and the Senate, Republicans, I can't think of a Republican that would abide a $4 trillion tax increase on the American people. And you're talking about $2.6 trillion of that tax increase falling on families that make less than $400,000 a year. A $600 billion tax increase on small businesses. Those are the people that are out there working every day, Sean, and we need to make sure that we keep taxes low. And as we move through this process, and it's very complicated, especially in the Senate. The rules are very prescriptive. We have to thread a needle in order to get this done, but we have to have maximum cooperation and support from every Senate Republican, every House Republican. The stakes are too high, and this opportunity isn't going to come along very often.
Let's talk a little bit. I'll ask you, and then I'll ask the rest of the group. I know you have a meeting that you have to run to, so we only have you for a few minutes. The issue of tariffs. Seems like a pretty simple concept to me. We have countries, allied countries, we have friend and foe, putting high tariffs on American goods, American products, and much higher than we put on them. I believe that, frankly, they're ripping us off, as the president says, and the president ran on that issue. And I know there might be a little bit of disagreement, some nuance, some more profound, but the idea that countries feel, especially countries that benefit from our military and our defense capabilities, and the fact that they're tariffing, their friend and their ally that they'll depend on one day, kind of is insulting to me as an American. And I just want to know, where do you stand on the issue? And do you think that the president's, obviously $7 trillion in committed investments, a lot, obviously 70 plus countries wanting to negotiate, got the world's attention. How do you think this plays out?
Well, look, I think the president, everybody, we all heard it, he won 77 million votes, and there wasn't a day on the campaign trail where he didn't talk about tariffs. It's something he believes in. He deserves the opportunity to go get the deals he can get, and to get the reciprocity that we need with some of these countries that have been taking advantage of us. And so this is I think most of us up here believe that he deserves that opportunity, and he and his administration are working very aggressively, as you know, and have already announced, so many countries have come to the table, are looking for deals. So let's give this president some space to see what he can get done, and obviously we're all paying close attention to it, but we think that he campaigned on it. He made it very clear to the American people what he wanted to achieve in doing it, and I think when it comes to creating better paying jobs in this country and growing our economy, making America stronger, and getting investment in this country, you're already seeing some of that. Some of these supply chains are coming back home. Let's give this president an opportunity to see what he can get done.
Majority Leader Thune, I would stretch, but if I do, all these wires are going to come falling off me. Great to see you. We appreciate you letting us do this, and it's a unique opportunity. I know senators don't often like to do group interviews, so I'm very appreciative of all of you, and we thank you for being with us tonight. Senator Britt, let me start with you. Let's talk a little bit about reconciliation, what you're hearing from your colleagues, and what are you hearing from your constituents in Alabama?
Look, Alabama is ready for results, and that's what they've gotten under President Trump. It's been promises made, promises kept, and this is just a continuation of that. I think it's exciting to see the progress that the president has already made on the border. You had the president and you had Senate Republicans and Senate House members say, we're going to actually secure our border and we're going to keep Americans safe. You're going to see more of that in reconciliation. You're going to see us be able to invest in our defense industry in the way that we need to. When you look at 21st century threats that are coming, now is the time for us to modernize. When you look at energy, I mean, everyone in Alabama knows that energy affects everything. When you're talking about the economy and prices, being able to drive down everything from the gas pump to the grocery store and everything in between, unleashing American
Americans
energy
have suffered the
and
last 4
creating
years.
dominance. I mean, President Trump has a vision, he has a plan, and he has a will to execute, and we're right there alongside him. And Alabamians are excited.
We're going to get to hear from this great group in just a second, but I want to just tell you moments ago, the president delivered remarks at the National Republican Congressional Committee dinner where he did urge unity, and for Republicans to be successful, they better unite. Take a look.
It's so important that we pass the big, beautiful bill, because that's going to be, and I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad. It's great. It's going to be legendary. You watch, legendary in a positive way, I have to say. It's going to be legendary. But I really think it actually puts pressure on those few Republicans that just can't get there. You know what the alternative is? A Democrat bill or a chapter for the country. You know, we have the debt continuation. And they have to do this. They have to get there. And I think we are there. We had a great meeting today. I think we are there. But just in case there are a couple of Republicans out there, you just got to get there. Close your eyes and get there. It's a phenomenal bill.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.